Okay. Well, today we're here with Thomas Wrede from SES, and he's the head of reception engineering with SES. And instead of me trying to explain what that is, why don't you explain what that is, please?
Yeah, right. I'm Thomas. I'm with SES now, actually in my 20th years. I take care of reception systems. It's basically taking care of the system receiving the signals from our satellites with a dish usually, or with a flat antenna, and then distributing it to the receivers in the home. And that includes, as I mentioned, distribution of satellite signals, which is very important. And what these days for us is very relevant is to also get live linear satellite television actually on devices that do not have a satellite receiver integrated.
Right.
So these are the iPads, the Android devices, any IP devices, game consoles, and so on. They don't have a tuner. They don't receive satellite today.
So in the home, you place a gateway with a receiver of some sort on it, and does that transcode? Is it a box that transcodes the signal into?
It's actually, we don't say whether it shall transcode or not. What we say is that it has to follow a certain communications protocol, which we call the SAT-IP communications protocol. Mm-hmm. It's at the moment a kind of industry standard. We have developed with partners like British Sky Broadcasting Corporation, BSkyB in London, and with a company called Kraftwerk. It's a software house in Copenhagen in Denmark. And this standard makes sure that the client device can talk to the server, can request a channel, a transport stream, and can get it over the IP network, whether it's wired or wireless, onto, let's say, the iPad, which of course we use as a most fashionable device for demonstrations these days. Transcoding makes sense if you want to reduce the data rate, if you want to reduce the bandwidth, because you may say you don't need the full 3, 4, 5 megabit per second stream to watch satellite TV on a rather small screen of a handheld, of an iPhone. You could transcode down and increase reach by this over the Wi-Fi system.
And use adaptive bitrate streaming, for example.
Some manufacturers may choose transcoding as an option in their implementation of SAT-IP. But we don't ask for it.
So who are the customers for this? I'm assuming that they are satellite service providers that sell direct-to-home services. So they would be competing with devices like the Horizon from UPC, for example?
Yes and no, because in Europe I think it depends on the market. If it's a horizontal market, like for example the German market, it would be industry companies. Companies that build receivers, companies that build satellite distribution systems.
Okay, so you're one step further back in the chain.
They are our partners with SAT-IP.
I understand.
And they build the SAT-IP equipment. Yeah, that's the typical scenario. But if you would look into a market that is a vertically integrated market, served by an operator, by a pay TV operator, then it would be the pay TV operator making available the SAT-IP technology and hence be able to distribute his content to tablet devices, for example.
Right. So they would engage you to help with the integration of the satellite service.
Yes, that's happening as a matter of fact. We test and we certify the servers, because for us it's very important that we can guarantee interoperability, so that a server device from manufacturer A works with a client device from manufacturer B, C, and so on. That's why we want to certify it. And manufacturers that have passed the certification process, they are allowed to use the SAT-IP logo, the SAT-IP label, which we have trademarked on their device, so to really show that it is fully compliant with this SAT-IP standard.
A little bit like saying Intel inside or Wi-Fi or something like that.
It's SAT-IP inside,
it's a brand.
Obviously. That's how we want to do it.
So this sounds like a very complex solution. What's your biggest challenge with it right now? say in the next year or two? What is your challenge
I think
here?
the big challenge is really to market it, to make it known to consumers, to educate the trade actually. I think that is the biggest challenge. In terms of the development, we have mastered all challenges. We work with the world's leading chip manufacturers. We see exciting developments of technologies that can capture the full satellite IF range, digitize it, and then basically you have the whole demodulation process and IP encapsulation in the digital domain. And these chips can do several channels, several transport streams at the same time. Simultaneously. So that is exciting because we can provide to the consumer household a little box that you connect to the dish and you get 4 or even 8 independent, simultaneous streams of different satellite programs to the iPad of the daughter, to the iPhone of the son.
So everyone in the household can enjoy TV from one common gateway.
They can enjoy TV wherever they are in the house, via Wi-Fi, via power line, via Ethernet, Cat 5, 6, 7 cabling, and that's just great.
So something like this is a solution for today and maybe the near future, tomorrow and the next day. What do you see? One of the themes here was going ahead in time 25 years and then looking back. What do you see happening over the next 20, 25 years? If you're looking at the big picture as you have in this
It's a good question.
today.
It's of course also a very tricky question as the consumer electronics and the technology we are in develops faster as it ever did. What I see is, I think, is a trend towards higher resolution. I think we have been seeing a very successful introduction of high-definition television in worldwide markets.
Which, of course, took 10 to 15 years.
Which took 10 years, fair enough, but we, as we heard, we have over 1,300 channels on the SES fleet alone, and there are many more HD channels. We see in the next about 2 to 3 years first transmissions of 4K television, meaning 3,840 by 2,160 pixels. We see the high efficiency video codec being developed, and we see also what was also discussed earlier this evening, we see the 8K, 16 times the HD resolution, maybe early, mid of the next decade, so 2022, 23, 24.
And hopefully if we all build it, they will come.
I think so. I mean, of course, at the moment the prices of respective flat screen technology are a little bit prohibitive, but I remember very well, and sure so will you, 10, 15 years ago, the flat screen we get today for $500 or euros was 15,000 or more rather.
Absolutely.
So this is just going to continue.
Well, I think,
what I also see is, as you asked me, for the next 25 years, I think is the combination of satellite with over-the-top with other delivery mechanisms. And I see satellite being the path for reaching 100% of the population for delivering the highest quality content. And that is complemented by some catch-up by whatever YouTube and other platforms via the whatever internet delivery mechanism.
So one last question. You've been talking about video, but one of the things that was said in today's presentation was that you're working on two-way communications and two-way solutions. Do you see a time where you have personal communications between two individuals hosted over the satellite network?
I think it's already hosted today over the satellite network by, if we bridge continents and we go with our two-way devices via the next cell tower and via a fiber network in between, somehow there may be a satellite communication. Otherwise, as I think my colleague Ibrahima mentioned, we have hundreds of millions of people on the African continent unserved by internet for the next 10, 20, 25 years to come. So these people will be very happy to have affordable KU or KA band-based satellite two-way solutions. I don't think that the future for satellite two-way is where it is beginning at the moment in the German, French or other European markets, but it's rather in the more developing markets or developing countries.
Of course, this could get to be a very long conversation. It's very interesting, but I think we'll have to leave it there. And Thomas, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for your questions. Appreciate it.
Much appreciated, and have a great conference.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is Steve.